Welcome back to the Taiwan Outlook. I'm your host, Wu Ruiguo. We'll continue our conversation with Professor Wang Kaocheng, Director of the Graduate Institute of Strategic Studies at Tamkang University. Kaocheng, we're going to start off with, what are the changes that you foresee what happened in U.S. security policy towards Asia?
Well, I think that its policies toward East Asia that probably will add more multilateralism than different from the previous administration. But besides that, I think that there's several major architectures in his Asian policy. First, of course, is continue to maintain good relation with China.
Okay.
Since China is the most important and probably most influential country in this region.
Yes.
So we have seen that it will continue to maintain good relation with China. Even better relation than the Bush administrations. Second, I think, is continue to maintain good relation with the U.S. Traditional allies in this region, including Japan, South Korea, Australia. I think that's the second part. The third part, in the new, I think, thing we need pay attention to is that Obama want to have a better relation with the Southeast Asian country, especially those countries with the many Muslim populations, like Indonesia.
Yes. Where he spent some time during his childhood years.
Right. Yes. Right. Yeah. And probably he wanted to improve the image which has deteriorated by the Bush administrations. So we have seen that also, I think, a new development. The others, I think, especially Obama will continue to maintain a close economic cooperation with this region because that will be good for the U.S. economy and the world economy.
Would you think that, Kaocheng, that under the changes or the major themes that you just identified for the new U.S. foreign policy towards Asia, that would you think that eventually there will be a competition between China and Japan in U.S. policy, as to which country is more important? Because we know that a couple months ago, when the U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton made the first trip overseas to Asia, she specifically visited Japan first, and then before went down to Southeast Asia, then come back up to China. How would you think that orientation, would that stay the same? Because Japan used to be so dependent on U.S. foreign policy direction or guidance, and if U.S. continue, like you said, which I agree, that U.S. continues to emphasize the relations with Beijing, how would that make Tokyo feel in the long run?
Well, Tokyo always feels that they might be someday neglected by the U.S. government, especially the new U.S. State Secretary Hillary. His husband, Clinton's, has a policy more toward China. So Japan worry about that might happen again. So we have seen that this time Hillary purposely, I think, took a balanced strategy to deal with these two giant countries in Asia. He first visited Japan and to reassure Japan that the U.S. will continue to maintain a close coalitional relation with Japan. And in fact, Japan will always be the most important allies for U.S. in this region. But on the other hand, China, because of its increasing capabilities, the United States cannot neglect its help in dealing with some issues such as North Korea and also the financial crisis. So the Obama administration also wanted to have a good cooperative relation with China too. I would say that the strategic meaning to U.S. is different. Japan is a close ally and share with the same values. And China is the from a realistic viewpoint, it's because of its capacity. The U.S. should to use this influence to have United States to fulfill with some strategic goals. So I think they are both important to U.S., but with different meanings.
Yes.
Right.
In addition to international economics and regional economics, we understand that another area of concern or potential for conflict between U.S. and China is in the area of security or military issues. Recently concluded the Asian Security Summit, or what we call the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore, certainly again reiterated that concern many countries in the region share as to China's rise and also the elevated strength and the military presence the PLA, the People's Liberation Army, now possesses, not only in Asia but also around the world. How would you think that the military posture of both countries, the U.S. and China, would that necessarily lead to some type of friction or conflict in the future? Or is it that under changing circumstances, the two militaries can really develop a very solid exchanges and also confidence building measures to avoid some type of conflict? Because recently we know that out of Philippine areas that there's been that reported contact between the Chinese submarine and U.S. ships. So incidents like this will certainly cause a lot of people nervous, cause some alarm in U.S.-China relations. Would you think that the military dimension will continue to be the unknown wild card in the relations between Washington and Beijing?
Yeah, I think that certainly we're making some tension or noise between the two countries. From the political and the economic side, certainly U.S. rely on China's help a lot. But I think Washington still continue to concern and closely watch the military development of the PLA. So from what we have seen that the U.S. continue station in the coast area in China, closely observed China's military development. So we have seen such kind of extent
of the Philippines.
Philippines. In previous years, that happened during the Bush administrations, happened in the air. So I think that kind of frictions and extent, I would expect will continue to happen occasionally with the expanding of China's military capabilities and its station and active areas. So I think that friction will continue to happen. But on the other side, I think we have seen that also come from Washington's policies. They continue to have military contact with the PLA, trying to strengthen the confidence building measures between the two sides. Right now, they already built the so-called hotline between the two military, and the PECOM's leaders continues to visit China's military bases, have a dialogue with his counterpart. So I think that's also is the Washington's policy. Try through these measures to slowing down the tensions possible.
And potential conflict.
Potential conflict.
Yes.
Right.
Now, Kaocheng, if we may shift the focus back down to what concerns us most, the relations across the Taiwan Strait. We identified a lot of changes that are happening around the world, around our region, and also what are the possible changes in U.S. policy, foreign policy under President Obama. How would you then, as a scholar, full versed in this area, that how would you then tell us that Taiwan, as an integral part of the region, how can we react and how should we react to the changes that are happening around us?
Well, I think that Obama is a leader which also very look upon the values democratic values. So I think we should continue to consolidate and develop our democracies. And to share our practice and the values with the Obama administration.
Yes.
Secondly, I think that Obama right now needs to do a lot of things. The international economic crisis,
yes.
U.S. Own economies, the
yes.
regional conflict in North Korea, Middle East. So I certainly the Obama administration would like to see the stabilized situation across the Taiwan Strait. So I think we should continue to our current accommodate policy toward mainland China so far to maintain the stability in this region.
Yes.
Like President Mao mentioned a lot, we are not troublemakers in this region. We are stabilizers, responsive stakeholders in this region to improve the U.S.-Taiwan relation. And so far, I think it's worked very well. We have seen that President Mao went through the U.S. to Latin Americans twice, and the situation is very well. The U.S. administrations give President Mao very good receptions there. Yeah. And also, I think that we should again maintain a balanced policies. That we should again maintain a good relation with Japan. Even try to develop our political and economic ties with Southeast country, Australia, such as.
Right. Okay, good. And we're going to continue in depth when we come back after taking a short break. And we're going to continue talking with Professor Wang Kaocheng about what the changes in cross-strait relations and the changes in U.S. foreign policy towards Asia, how would that impact all of us, as average citizens who are concerned about the future and well-being of Taiwan. We'll be back shortly.